So how about like a costly or an expensive, like a juicy settlement? Do you have any of those?
Yes. Yeah, I had one. This one was very ugly. It was pervasive in that it wouldn't go away. This one was a case of a gentleman that was Middle Eastern, and he was Middle Eastern American though. He was from up north, and he was just, he was classy. He dressed great. He was just, he was a great salesperson as well. And I would want to say that just because of the way that he looked, his features that were so Middle Eastern, he started getting a lot of crap from his coworkers. And he was also Muslim, and so they would just mess with him a lot. Just distasteful stuff, leaving bacon on his desk. I mean, just whatever you can imagine. It started as a joke, but then he was like, this is not funny anymore. And he started getting very aggravated with it. And when he brought it up to his manager was like, just get over it. The guys are just wanting to have fun with you. They're trying to bond with you, which is the wrong answer. And so things started getting hostile, and, he had to start standing up for himself. After bringing it up to the manager, he brought it up to HR. And so, HR is like documenting, talking to the manager. What are you doing about this? Like, this is going to be a bad situation. And it became bad. Then there was, like the star performer in the department that was, he was a little bit of a bully in the making fun, in the, like shoulder bumping in the parking lot, like just going on and going on and going on. So very little independent situations. A lot of times what happens with harassment and hostility is that each individual incident isolated may not seem like a lot, or may not seem like too bad or too serious. And that's when you hear back in those days, it was like, oh, you just gotta have thick skin. You just gotta have thick skin. Like, this is the car business. Get over it, but that's not the way it is now. And so, those little isolated incidents were probably not that big, but when you sit down and you see everything, because this guy was no dummy, he was documenting everything that was happening every single day, and so by the time he brings this complaint, it's like out of control, because everybody knew about it. Everybody knew that he had been complaining, talking about it. Now he said he was stressed. He couldn't come to work. It was affecting his income. It was affecting his, ability to make money. And it was a big claim. And normally they're 5-figure claims. This one was 6. So, it was ugly. It was really ugly.
Well, look, this is interesting because on one hand, and again, my point of reference is only car dealerships. That's really all I know. But, on one hand, I think the car business is very fraternal, that like a firehouse where everybody kind of spends most of their life in that place together. I relate it to I've never been a fireman, but they do their multiple day shifts and cook together and live together and eat, and that really is, how the car business can be. I don't believe in bullying. I don't believe in taking it across the line. I mean, I've got a big sense of humor, and I'm certain that I've crossed the line, but I also would just about want to kill myself if I found out that I really actually hurt somebody's feelings, and I'd apologize immediately. Especially when I was younger, I would have much more of an ability to just keep being a nutcase. But my intention, and you said something earlier about intention versus perception, my intention would be strictly to entertain, or strictly maybe even to entertain myself, but just have fun during the frickin' 10, 12, 14 hours that we're going to be there. If I ever even remotely heard or had a hint that it was hurting any feelings, I'd apologize, and that would be the end of it. But it's such a line to walk, because on one hand, there really is that fraternity, that barracks, and highly male. And then and then with the females, I don't need to make this sexist, but even with the females, the females, and I don't mean through intimidation. I was in retail for 27 years. The females were very much one of the guys most often. And also in sales, there's a little bit of a ribbing because it is competitive. So it's not just like, I want to give this guy crap because it's Arabic. No, I don't believe in leaving the baking, continuing on after there's been an actual complaint. I mean, once there's been an actual complaint, you go to HR. How do I handle it? Do I have a meeting? Do I need to keep it quiet just between them? What's the right way to address it? But to me, it's so difficult to walk the line between technically being detailed to have a case versus just trying to keep everything going in the slightly dysfunctional family that we're always going to be when there's people involved. I don't know if I worded that whole thing right, but that
you did.
Okay, that's a tough one.
It is very tough.
And it's all fun and games till someone gets fired, usually.
That's what I always say. It's all fun and games until it's not, and that's the thing. It's not your decision when it's not, unless someone says something that really at some point just makes you stop and go, whoa, that was not okay. I'm not okay with that, so, it is very difficult. And, I know those people in the car business that are the lighthearted people that you're talking about, the people that just want to make everybody laugh, that want to make themselves laugh, that want to have a good time and maybe sometimes say something off color, but it's not intended to anybody in particular. And it's not, it's not meant to be that, I am just trying to somehow sexually either intimidate you or make you feel a certain way. I mean, you can usually know that. Or you can tell, but still it shouldn't, you just never know. As different as people are nowadays with everything, you just don't know what you're going to do or what you're going to say that is going to set off somebody, and you have no idea.
It's a hard world to navigate because, like I said, as a father of a daughter now, or, understanding things about some ethnicities, like I have some ethnic backgrounds that are very easy to make fun of, that I make fun of myself and put it out there. So I've never felt entitled to ever get upset with someone if they're going to shtick me about it, if I'm already putting it out there about myself, right? So here's the tough part about it now. On one hand, one of the greatest things to joke about, one of the greatest things to build bridges with humor would be differences. So this could be male versus female, ethnicities, religions, whatever, as long as it's with sincere wanting to entertain. And fraternal. That's really the word. Brotherhood, sisterhood, this sort of thing. And being willing to take it and want to take it, and all of that business. But here we are now at a time when it could be a serious liability, but I don't want to make it just about the liability that could be a 5 or 6 figure check. On one hand, people are absolutely, in my opinion, way too hypersensitive about a lot of things. I think that. But at the same time, I also believe that people should be speaking up if they really got hurt or wounded, or the word you use, intimidated, like absolutely, 1,000%. So the tough part is it's very good that people are opening their mouth and saying something if they're being hurt. They should. But on the other side, I think it's harder to have fun in the world when there's this hyper concern. It's hard to be natural.
This has been Jeff Stearns, Connected Through Cars.